if you feel like you're really lost and you're burnt out in business, continuing to do more work is actually you avoiding getting clarity on what you really want. And that's what I learned. The more I work, the more I distract myself from allowing myself to create the space to actually slow down and go, am I feeling aligned with what I'm building right now?
Hello and welcome back to the Beauty Industry Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Ali, and we finally get to welcome back from Vietnam, Sammy. Tell me, how was the vacation?
Hello. Oh my gosh. It was incredible. We did 4 weeks away, which I think is pretty cool. It's one of the longer holidays I've had in the last couple of years. I did this exact same trip 2 years ago, and 2 years ago I burned my business into the ground because I didn't have systems and processes in place. This time, way better, got to enjoy it, was still able to help clients through Booked, Banked and In Demand. The beta round went out, and then I was just having the best time with Nick. Like, we got to have such a good balance of traveling, relaxing, eating good food, being able to have some Netflix binges. Oh my gosh, we started Billions. And if you haven't heard of it before, it's like Suits. So highly recommend. It's pretty much finance bros, except instead of lawyers. And we didn't realize that it's only available in Vietnam on Netflix. So we got back to Australia and we're like halfway through the season and we can't finish it off. So we're going to have to purchase it on Apple TV or something else. But that's a story for another time.
So tell me quickly, why did you decide to go back to Vietnam if you'd already been there 2 years ago? Like, what drew you back?
For me, I haven't been able to afford Europe. So I like to live within my means. I think when I talk to people who go, oh my gosh, I'm doing a Euro summer, and they go blow, 10 to 30 grand. I just kind of thought that's not really what I want to do at this stage in my life. And so I have done like 8 or 9 Asian countries in the last 2 years. Vietnam was the first place I went to, and I think it's beautiful. I like that there's still culture. I feel like in Bali there is such a lack of culture because it's been so westernized. So just being able to actually go somewhere else and experience the culture. I love Vietnamese food. Also, side note, we were looking really forward to having roast pork banh mi and just trying the banh mi's everywhere. But plot twist, in Vietnam, they don't really do roast pork banh mi. It's only an Australian thing. So we were kind of let down because there were all these like pate and cold meats and chicken and all this random stuff. So if you think you're going to go to Vietnam and enjoy pork banh mi, you're in for a rude shock because like we definitely were.
Oh my goodness.
It's just because it's such a beautiful place. It also makes me feel like I can really enjoy it because I know financially I'm set. Like I can live like a king over there. Like we're staying in luxury 5-star resort for literally $200 a night. Most of our accommodation was literally 20 to 60, 80 max. We did luxe out a few nights. We went on a super yacht and that was only $400 per person for the night. You get like gourmet meals included, the most incredible room. So we did do a mixture of really luxing out and then we did cheaper stuff in between and we had a good balance. So all up, we added up everything we spent on the trip.
Yes.
And it was about just shy of 8 grand. If you include flights and everything, which we bought really early on, it would have probably been around 8.5 grand. And that was for a whole month. We did go and do some spending. We did do some shopping. We got custom made clothing done in Hoi An. So that would have probably been around $1,200 that we wouldn't have had to spend if you chose not to do that. We went on the super yacht. Like, you don't have to do that. When I did Vietnam last time, I stayed in hostels and I pretty much just did activities. I didn't really spend on any items or anything like that. So all up, I think last time it was around 4 or 5 grand that I spent. So really between Nick and I, like 2 grand a week, I mean, if you're in Australia, a couple was probably spending that much easily, but we got to get a lot more value out of what we did. Like we went and did head spas and massages and all of that. And so it was really nice.
So my question is, and people are probably thinking the same thing, given you're very switched on, were you able to switch off? Or were you working on the back end of things, Sammy? Because I know I got a few messages and I know you were working on things.
So the first 2 weeks, I was pretty much like switched off. Like I was able to switch off. I had a couple messages just with my team to make sure people in Booked, Banked and In Demand were all onboarded properly. Everything was working, like passwords are in the portals. I did speak to you. I spoke to Jade, like a couple of my close friends, and I'm just like giving little updates. But the first 2 weeks, I pretty much did no work. And that was because I was sick and because I was too busy walking the streets of Hoi An doing all the custom tailor fitting. So there was like so much going on in the day that I just didn't even have a moment to kind of stop and slow down. And then after we got to Da Nang, that's when we were staying at the Shillin Monogram, which is this incredible luxury 5-star resort. We were like by the pool. And I just remember sitting there, and that's kind of the 2-week mark is where I'd filled up my cup enough, but I was like itching to get back into business. And there were just all these creative ideas that were coming. And I just remember sitting there and going, Nick, I have to go inquire with the sales team here. I have to make a retreat happen. This is literally my dream location. Everything is perfect. Like I can see it. And so I've just called up the sales team. Like they booked a meeting with me. I'm going down. I'm running through everything. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a retreat happen here in February 2026. And pretty much from there on, anytime I had some spare time where it was like an hour, we'd been out all day and like Nick wanted to watch something or call his mom or his dad or like just check in with friends, I was on my laptop and I was like, okay, I'm building out this whole retreat guide. So if anyone asks, I have it here. And literally within 2 days, like I'd pretty much built it out. We had a couple of 7-hour sleeper buses. And so pretty much if you haven't seen what a sleeper bus is, it's like a bus, but you can lay down in a bed, which I think is really cool. I don't think it would work in Australia because Australians are too big and overweight, and I don't reckon they would fit in there. Like these are small. So you want to be a small person to enjoy this. Otherwise you're like crammed up. If you've ever watched Harry Potter and it's like the crazy night bus they go on, that's what it's like. You're kind of like going around all the hills and hitting your head. And I was just sitting there thinking, okay, well, for the moments of this that I'm not car sick, I'm going to work on this. And so I found out I didn't really get motion sick unless it was super hectic up in the mountains. I was able to smash out so much work. And then I was talking to Ellie, like I was going, oh my gosh, I really need to get this sorted. And then I was talking to Brooke, my coach, and I was like, I've got this whole vision, like let's make it happen. And so after the second week of holidaying, that was in the back of my mind. And it was just like, I can't sit here and build this out and work on it all. So then I was talking to my website designer and I said, I need a landing page for this. I was talking to Andre and I was like, can you please go create some social media graphics? And by the time I got back, this thing was ready to start like talking about and promoting.
It really just highlights for us that we actually, as business owners, need to rest and recharge, because in those moments we are sometimes the most productive we possibly could be because we've allowed us that time. Don't you think? I feel like this 100%. Is exactly what's happened for you. Like, I know we'd spoken about it and it was an idea, but once you're actually in the right headspace or you've allowed that time, all of a sudden, I mean, look at what you were able to achieve in the downtime of your holiday.
I think sometimes it's so easy to get caught up in doing more and working longer hours, and then you're not really being productive with that time. Mm-hmm. So you're just burnt out. You're frustrated that you're not getting the result. And I think that's where you really do need to slow down to then speed up. And so for me, going on that holiday and being really intentional about trying my best to be present. And if you feel like it's hard at the start, it's just because your nervous system is probably in this like go, 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 fight or flight mode and it doesn't feel right. So you feel guilty or you feel like, oh, I should. But I also reminded myself that like I knew this holiday was coming up. I spent 6 months preparing. I got a team in place. I built out systems, processes, automations. I made sure that I was prepared to do this, and I didn't feel bad when I went on the holiday because I was like, I've done the work to get me here. Last time when I did it, different story. I turned my laptop off, didn't talk to anyone, not my family, not my clients, not my friends, like pretty much just shut off because I was in such a crazy space after running the beauty pageant. You know, there was an extreme level of burnout and resentment, and I was just so lost in life. So to go from like a chaotic trip of like trying to find myself back then to like I'm fulfilled, I'm in a happy relationship, like this is a fulfillment thing was really cool. And I think the biggest realization of all was when I was thinking about how I get to take holidays off, I almost felt like, oh, I feel so guilty because I see beauty salon owners who are just struggling so hard and, you know, they're working late hours and they don't get to do this. And I also think about my parents in the same sense of like, they're at bowling, they're working these crazy hours, like, and then I kind of sit and go, well, no, it's actually a choice because you can hire employees, you can delegate, you can learn to let go and have other people step in and support you. And I think there almost becomes this mental or internal battle with yourself of like getting help and setting up those support systems or like looking on Instagram, seeing everyone else living the dream life you want and then complaining about it and having that victim mindset. And I was there for like a couple years and then I was like, oh, stuff it. I'm just going to do it. And then you kind of figure out how to do it anyways. The other thing about taking the time to slow down is that if you feel like you're really lost and you're burnt out in business, continuing to do more work is actually you avoiding getting clarity on what you really want. And that's what I learned. The more I work, the more I distract myself from allowing myself to create the space to actually slow down and go, am I feeling aligned with what I'm building right now? Am I loving it? Do I need to improve it? Do I need to like break it and rebuild? And I think when I look at how I'm planning out 2026, I'm looking at what I'm doing now to set that up so that in 2026, I can look at when am I going really hard in launches? When am I doing this retreat? When am I onboarding majority of my one-on-one clients? When am I offboarding out of those containers? And then also, when am I taking holidays? And I think any business owner who is under a high level of stress, you're making a lot of decisions, you're running a team, like you need to take time to slow down. And I would be looking at every quarter at least taking 1 week off. Like 12 weeks, if you can't take 1 week off or you can't take at least 3 days in a row off just to actually let your nervous system and your brain reset, like having a weekend off, especially in the beauty industry, like it's not really anything special because you probably got kids, you probably got other commitments, social things. And so like even taking weekdays off in your business where you prepare and you plan ahead so you know your revenue can cover it just so you can actually get out of always working in it and then have the space to work on it.
Yes, I agree 100%. I feel like this is at least 70, 80% of business owners. And let's talk about like the mindset behind it as well. It's like they feel guilty if they're not working in the business, then their team don't actively see them working in the business. But if you're transparent with your team about what you're working on in the business to put back into the business so that they can be successful and in return give back more to them, then they value your position as a business owner and what you're actually doing for the business. If you continue to work in it, running at burning yourself out, what are you actually offering your clients, your team, the business as a whole? It does come down to the mindset and deciding that I'm going to take the steps and I'm going to have to take time away from my business to work on that, whether that look like having a business consultant, coach, allowing the time to have meetings one-on-ones, or the likes of going to a business retreat where you actually can completely remove yourself from the scenario of work, take a step back and come back with a plan of attack in place. I feel like we should talk about the difference between, or what you've experienced before or I've experienced before, when it comes to group workshops versus what the game of plan is for Vietnam.
I think for me, I've invested 130 grand in business coaches, group coaching programs, masterminds, retreats, one-on-one coaches, consultants. Like I have done, I'd like to say, a fair amount of investing in different kind of things. And then I've also run them as well, and being on both sides as a client and then also the person delivering that. I think different types of things serve different types of people at different stages in their business, if that makes sense. Like if you look at when I was in my early stages of business, all I could kind of do at that stage or afford was an online course. And so that $97 or $497 online course that taught me one skill, that was really useful then and there. But then I started having more questions. And so that's when I really liked moving into the group coaching programs. And when you're surrounded by other people who have all these questions and you've got these questions, it's good to connect and feel like you're a part of a community. But then I find that there's this stage after that where you start to realize the problems get more specific to you, and waiting an hour in a call to maybe be seen for like 3 minutes, getting given a really vague answer and put your question into the community and then we'll get back to you, you know, maybe a day or two later, you kind of struggle to get results as fast or scale as quickly because you're not getting that personalized support.
And not to mention, I honestly feel like, based off of clients that I have, actually putting out there and being vulnerable with your personal information or where you're standing as a business, that's really hard to do in a group setting. Like I know a lot of my clients value the fact that we are one-on-one, and that, you know, once they get to know you as their business consultant, coach, whatever, they are allowed to let their walls down and be vulnerable. But in a group setting, especially if they know the business you've come from, they don't necessarily want to share that.
100%. I actually had an interesting experience where I was in a group coaching program, and then one of the other people in there, I don't know if you'd call her a competitor, but she then started taking my content, and then she would start copying and pasting captions from when I had my beauty salon, and then she would change out her name. So she was like stalking all my old stuff and then repurposing it. And then I actually put the idea out, hey, I want to launch Beauty Industry Leaders. This is what I'm thinking. And then she commented on it and then tried to tear me down. And I think that was a perfect example of when I was like, nah, group coaching isn't for me. And I think when I look at how I've progressed through different income levels, different problems and different responsibilities in my business, now I'm at a stage where I actually find more value in hiring an expert. And this doesn't mean a business coach or a consultant necessarily. It might be the best marketing agency in Australia, or it might be the best HR company. Like it's literally going to that expert and getting them to look at my business, give me an audit or give me a personalized strategy, not just shove me in a group coaching program and give me, okay, here's some modules to watch and like, you know, here's the thing. And what I realized in what I enjoy, and everyone can have their own opinion on this. Like I'm not right, nor am I wrong. This is just what I like. What you like may be different. But for me, I'm either going to buy a course and do a self-paced thing in my own time, which is fine. There's no support there. That's on me. Or I'm now going to go to a retreat where I'm with other people. I'm in there to get it done. Or I've got someone working one-on-one with me to support me in that personalized capacity. And so when I looked at my business model, I launched Book Bankton in Demand, and I was like, cool, that's going to be my signature offer. I don't have me in there doing group coaching calls or anything like that. That's self-paced because it's a system. They can implement that. They can get a VA to do it on their behalf. They can get their team. Like it's pretty much giving you a whole training manual on how to get booked out and be able to retain those clients and things like that. Okay, real talk. If you're a beauty business owner and you're still doing everything yourself, from posting on socials to replying to DMs on the toilet, creating reels at 11 p.m. in bed, trying to keep your books full, lead a team, and somehow still show up as a decent partner, friend, or parent, this is for you. I created Booked, Banked, and In Demand because I was that burnt out business owner once. Always working in the business, never having enough time to actually work on it. I've now taught the strategies inside this training to over 300 salon owners who have gone on to triple their revenue, become the go-to name in the area, and finally get off the income roller coaster, burnout, and chasing clients. It's also the system I used to build a multi-six-figure coaching business and scale a 7-figure bowling alley in 7 months. Because once you know how to attract clients, convert leads, and create consistent cash flow in your business, it works anywhere. Inside Booked, Banked, and In Demand, you'll learn how to attract dream clients on autopilot with the content that consistently fills your calendar, lock in 90% plus rebooking rates so your income isn't riding a roller coaster every single week, and delegate the back end to a VA so you can step out of burnout mode, reclaim your time, and focus on doing more of what you actually enjoy, whether that's growing your business or taking a damn holiday that you know you deserve. So if you're tired of doing it all and ready to get more clients, make more money, and finally have more time freedom again, this is your sign. Click the link in the show notes and let Booked, Banked, and In Demand be the last training you'll ever need. Then the next step for most coaches is having this big group coaching program. And I went, I don't really feel aligned with that anymore. And I've done them in the past. I've had the Beauty Boss Mastermind. I've done different kind of social media marketing groups, and it's really hard for me to give the people the support they deserve in that kind of program. And it's okay for 6 to 8 people. And then as soon as you get to 20, 40, 50, it's really hard to provide the level of support that I want and I believe clients deserve. And so I think that's why when I looked at my next step, outside of one-on-one, it was actually hosting a retreat. And maybe you could think of a retreat as group in a sense, but the reality is you're there in person, and the idea behind it is it's 5 days together. And instead of it just being constant working and overloading your brain, I wanted to structure it so it's in the morning to the early afternoon, it's either a masterclass or you've got someone who's teaching you a new skill. And in between that, there's breakout rooms and options to get support as you implement. And then the afternoons are actually for you to do co-working. So whether that's working on it yourself, that's getting Eli or I to help you out, whoever our guest experts are, they can float around and help out in the room. But it's instead of it just being a full-on business retreat, or it being a full relaxation, it's kind of business in the morning and then whatever you need it to be in the afternoon, whether that is taking the time to slow down and relax, whether that is taking the time to go make friends because you've been so lonely in the industry and you just want to be surrounded by people who actually understand how it feels, or whether it's you just want to go into your room, sit there on your laptop, get some shit done. I think giving people the option to actually take a week away from their business and teach them how to set up the systems, the processes, the strategies that set their entire year up for success, that 1 week is going to be worth more than any group coaching program will be when they're sitting there showing up for the first few weeks in the month, and then they drop off the face of the earth, get their reminder email, hey, you're finishing up in a week. And then they're like, oh crap, I didn't jump on any calls. Why did I spend 5 to 10 grand on that? And what have I actually achieved? And so it's a different approach. It might fail, it might succeed. And I think that's a really cool thing for us to test, because what I'm doing on my social media is actually documenting how we're building this out, because there's a level of here's a retreat, it's ready. But I think to see what goes on behind the scenes in planning these things out is also really important to share, because that's what's going to make us different from everything else.
Before you just shut it down and say that it might fail, I'm going to be on the other side of the fence. The reason why I don't think it's going to fail is because they've got that support afterwards with us. If there is something that we've gone through in the morning and they don't know, if you're in a group call, and I go through a whole lot of stuff and you're like, oh, that's all well and good, but how do I actually implement that into my business? That's where it gets lost.
Yes.
It's bridging the gap between going, this is what I'm here to teach you, and then afterwards taking the time to either work out how to implement that in your business or having the likes of the experts show you where or how that is going to benefit your individual business. Because not all of our, and I know we've already received, I think, quite a few applications, and there are some team members that have 5 team members, there's some that have 3, there's some that have 10. So everyone's going to be at a different level. Some are going to be more confident than others, some are going to be new businesses, established businesses. So I think this is where what you've built out thus far will succeed, because it's bridging the gap between a group setting and then having the confidence to go, this is how it's going to suit my business.
And that, like, also, I think when you look at online, I'm a bit sick of online. Like, sometimes I'm like, I just want to meet with my clients for a coffee in person. Like, I actually miss human connection, and the biggest transformations I've ever had in my business have always been at retreats. And I think that's just because you're in this room with people who are all excited. They're all massive achievers and they want to be there. Either they're going to learn something, they're going to connect with someone. Like, there's always something to take away. I think the reason why I'm scared it would fail, and this is like complete honesty.
Yeah, give me the vulnerable, Sammy.
The first rodeo we hosted, we went big, we went hard. It was like a 3-day thing. And I remember people all came in the first day. The second day it was like 10 people. And then the third day there was 2. And we got into $80,000 debt. Then the second rodeo we did, we had people come, the brand awareness was kind of there, and then we ended up losing $60,000. And for me, that was really hard to just know how much debt we were in, how hard we had to work at bowling every single week to pay off those debt, just knowing what it's like having people chasing you up for invoices and things like that. And then we had success, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th year. We were profiting like 70, 80 grand, which was incredible. We did turn it around. And then also running the beauty pageant. That's, you know, a 300-person event, like understanding how many logistics and things go on behind the scenes. And that's why I want to document building the retreat this time, because the beauty pageant, I wish I documented it because it was such a shit show, but an absolute miracle at the same time. Like what happened in the back end versus what you saw at the end, it was just crazy to see how much went into it. But I think this time I'm taking all the lessons. I've got the experience. I've been building the audience on the podcast. I have incredible clients. I have a network. It's just like, I guess for me, it's something different. And when I started building this out, there was almost a point where I was so excited, but also so nervous. I felt like I was going to vomit. Like I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Like, am I actually making this public? And even like reaching out to people who have said they're interested and they've gone and put their email in, and I've sent them an email and then I haven't heard back, and then just like sending them a voice note or a thing, and it's just like, oh, I haven't had time to check it out, or oh, I'm so keen. It's just that fear of rejection and failure. And I think even if you listen to this podcast and you think I'm like, oh my gosh, this Sammy speaks so well, she does all these things, like I literally am scared of failing too, but I'm still going to do it anyways. Like I'll learn something, it'll happen. And I think the amount of attention to detail and level of perfectionism I have, I don't think this can fail actually.
I'm so glad you're saying that out loud, because that is so true.
Like, do you ever sit there and you're like, I've got this offer or this idea, but you're so scared to launch it? Like I remember even when I did, you know, back in beauty, like I'd launch a new custom lash set and then I'd be like, what if people judge me, or what if it's not as good? Like what if my version of wispy isn't what they would call wispy, or like, you know, it's always doing something new, and it's the first step. And what I've also realized is like, if you don't document these things, what happens if it is a success? What happens if you continue to do it over time and then you have nothing to look back on? It's like my bloody gym progress photos. I don't know what I thought, but I was like, I don't like how I look. I deleted them all like 3 years ago. And I'm like, I wish I had photos when I started my gym journey to like compare. But here we are.
Here we are. Oh my goodness. Really excited. Are we allowed to talk about some of the things that the attention to detail that we have been looking at?
Yeah, I think it's important to talk about it because I spend so much time thinking about it, but I know 100%. Do you want to run through the client journey or the topics?
I think we finish off today's podcast with 5 questions about the retreat. I'm going to hit you with these questions. And then maybe in the next podcast, we can give them a sneak peek of the client journey for the retreat. But first and foremost, who is this retreat really for, Sammy?
This retreat is for the woman who never puts herself first.
Oh.
Like, seriously, the amount of times I talk to clients and they're like, I'm so burnt out. I'm doing this for my clients. I'm showing up for my team. I'll have to ask my husband. I'll have to check with kids. Like the person that is always trying to be a people pleaser for everyone else, but never chooses to put themselves first and has no strategy or a direction in their business. Like you're showing up, you're trying to do all the things, but it's just not getting you the results you want. And you want to design a business that is actually aligned to the type of life you want to create. It's profitable and it's scalable. So this means having strategy, systems, and a clear vision in place.
The kind of stuff that we've spoken about that these beauty business owners are going to walk away with will ensure that no matter what, when they finish up with the retreat, they've got tangible things to implement into their business. So that I think is really exciting for them. What kind of results or transformations do you think that these business owners could expect after the retreat?
Well, if you know me, number one is making sure you have your pricing that's profitable. I think everyone needs a kick up the arse with that one. Lovingly, I say that. I think, right now there's a lot of changes, 3% increase in minimum wage. Super's gone up to 12%. There's a lot of other things like softwares and subscriptions that you need to be aware of. And I think a lot of people put that on the back burner because they're too busy. So actually making sure that you have profitable prices in your business, but also what your business can turn over. You have clear goals and then the exact steps to achieve them. So instead of just looking at it like, hey, I want to make this much, it's like, okay, you want to make this much? What are your top selling products or what's the signature offer we're going to create? How many do we need to sell each week, each month, and how are we going to get there? So you've got the actual data mapped out, but then the whole point of the retreat is actually building out everything you need to do to make that happen. So the marketing strategy, the funnel, being able to have your team understand how to implement that. If you don't have a team, but you need a team, how you're actually going to hire a team and how you're going to lead a team. And so for me, the transformation that you will get by joining this is going to actually be building a business model that supports your lifestyle and it has those systems and processes in place to scale. Because I think there's a lot of messy back ends in the businesses out there, a lot of people undervaluing themselves, a lot of people overworking and constantly burning out. And the whole point of this is to set that business up so you don't keep burning out and stay stuck in the same place 12 months from now.
If that ain't a transformation, I don't know what is. Okay. Third question. I know we've kind of touched on how it will be different, but from the perspective of what happens, if we're allowed to kind of go into this, what happens after the retreat that is going to make this retreat different to what other people are doing?
Oh, I love this.
Okay. Juicy one.
Someone's going to steal this. I already can feel it, but it is what it is. If you heard it here first, it was my idea. Just saying, I think for me, the reason why I'm building this in, it is 6 weeks of post-retreat support. And when you look at events or masterclasses or trainings, one of the common areas of feedback is always, I got given all these tools. I've got a big to-do list now. I feel really overwhelmed. And a week after, like they've gone from being on the biggest high at the retreat to the biggest low. And then they're like, what's the next steps? How do I do this? And you almost become like a personal development junkie. Like you're waiting for the next retreat or you're waiting for the next thing to happen so that you can get that dopamine hit again. We don't want you to fall off the track and feel like you're in a position where you've just been given a bunch of random information and you have no idea what to do with it. The idea is that we build out the strategies, the systems and processes in the retreat, and then you actually get support after as the questions come up. If you need us to review stuff, if you need us to give you feedback, you've actually got that support there.
Yeah, and you're not alone as well. You've almost connected with other business owners with like-minded services and businesses, and you're able then to not only bounce off them, but yeah, let's see who steals it, shall we? All right. What would you say to beauty business owners who are listening and they're feeling burnt out, they're feeling stuck, they're kind of like on the fence? I want to come. Do I actually invest the money? Like, what are you going to say to them? What do you have to say to them?
There's always going to be an excuse that you can come up with when it comes to pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. And it's not necessarily going to just be the retreat. It's going to be hiring the new team member. It's going to be posting that reel. It's going to be launching this new product. There's always going to be an excuse. I can't take time. I can't afford it. I don't have the right things. And I think the second you stop making excuses and you start taking personal responsibility and go, I'm going to do something for myself, or I'm going to put my business first, that's when you start seeing massive shifts in your life. And I really encourage women who have put everyone else before themselves to choose to put themselves first, not because you're selfish, but because you deserve it. You're worthy of it. And I think a lot of us think we're unworthy. We're unworthy of taking time off. We've got to give everything to everyone else. And we don't work on taking our future, or we don't work on our health, or we don't work on, the things that matter to us most because we're too busy trying to do everything for everyone else. And I think if you can't take the time off, well, you probably need it more than anyone else because you don't have systems and processes in place. You don't have support. You need to build that out at the retreat so you can take time off. How much longer can you keep burning out? How much longer can you continue kind of staying stuck in this cycle? If you can't afford it right now, I get it. I've had those moments too. But I've also seen how investing in myself has always had the highest return on investment. The right event doesn't just feel good. It leaves you with those tangible tools, clear offers. And I know what it's like to walk away feeling like you got nothing out of it. And that's exactly why I'm giving so much. Like, Eli and I behind the scenes have been working on the client journey in terms of the value, the support, the PR packages, like everything down to the smallest detail. It has been clearly thought out. I'm not going to dive into it now because you'll get to hear it in another episode. And I know you're probably sitting there going, I don't know anyone going, well, Eli, me, I'm 100% sure you probably feel like you're my best friend right now if you have listened to every single one of these episodes because you've seen into my brain. Like, I feel like I know you because you know me, because you know what I mean? Like, most people are going to come solo. I don't think, unless you've got a friend that you want to bring, you can do that and you can share a room, which I think is really cool. But the biggest thing is, even if you could bring your best friend or your high school friend or your partner, like, they still don't get it. They don't get what you're going through. The people that are coming to this retreat, they are living the exact same life as you in terms of being a business owner, understanding the challenges that come with it, and you will find more connection there.
And I think if you value both you and myself and who we are as people, we're only attracting the people that align with us to attend this retreat. I feel like I would be so nervous, like so unbelievably nervous to go to a retreat on my own. And in fact, I did do something, and one of my dearest friends, I had to do it on my own. And she was like, I know how much you hate doing things on your own. But honestly, when you throw yourself into that situation, you walk out so proud because you did do it on your own and you got what you needed to get out of it and you stepped out of your comfort zone. And even speaking to people that you don't know, like, oh my goodness, I always seem like it's nothing. But in the back of my head, I'm thinking, oh gosh, do they just think this or do they think that? But if you value, both you and I know that the people that are coming to this retreat, the ones that have already inquired or put in their application, they're just as real as you and I. And that's really exciting.
Do you know what's wild is I was having this conversation with a client and I said, I feel like all my clients and the people I attract into my life, they're silent achievers, as in they're working so hard on being the best version of themselves and they're just staying in their own lane. Yeah, sure, it's easy to get caught up and compare on social media. You unfollow a few people, you mute them, you block them, do whatever. But it's never been like a popularity contest like high school where you're trying to suck up to each other and gain approval. Like there is none of that here. And I think if you ever come into our world, like you get to be a part of a silent community of high achievers who aren't trying to prove everything to everyone. They're just trying to be the best version of themselves. And I think when we look at beauty industry leaders, it's people who care about winning in their own lane and making that impact. And you have to be able to connect with other leaders. Like, you know, as well, it's not just, I don't know how to put it. Like there's no words. I don't know if it's even making sense, but like, I think there's two sides of the industry and like, this is the good side.
This is what I say to like all my clients in the beauty business society. It's a society of women who want to support one another, who understand that this business is big enough for everyone and that the more we can support one another and help one another, that's the best kind of society of people you want to be with.
100%. Look, if this is speaking to you, you are who we created this for. We have a wait list available. So at this moment, at the time of recording, we've got 4 early bird spots available. So you will be able to save $1,000 on a room to yourself, or if you've got you and a friend, you can both save $500 each. I highly recommend that if you're interested, just apply, just do it now. All you need to do is secure a deposit and then you can have a flexible payment plan to pay it off before the actual retreat. We have PR packages that are currently getting made. We've got custom merch. We've got so many exciting things that are coming in and I would really love to meet you in person. I know that you're listening to these episodes. I know that you're tuning in. I know that you probably haven't even jumped into my DMs because you're like, I'm not going to do that. But I promise you, like, I've created this for you and I would love you to be a part of it. And I really look forward to seeing who comes through the doors. I'm loving reading the applications. I think it's really wholesome. A lot of people are all saying the same thing. Like, I just want to meet other people. I want that connection and I really want to stop being burnt out. So help. So click the link in the show notes. Apply today. I promise it will be one of the best decisions you make.
I just want to say quickly, can you explain to people the application process? Because I did have someone say to me, is there a process or a criteria that I have to meet for this application?
No, you just need to fill out the form and we just need to make sure that we're screening that this is going to be valuable for you. Like obviously it's not really designed for someone in the startup phase in terms of like if you're making less than $3,000 to $1,000 a month, going on this retreat probably will not be financially viable for you. So we've got early bird prices, which are $4,497 for a single room. So if you check out my Instagram, you can see the whole breakdown. Like you get a breakfast included, you get 2 coffees a day, a lunch. We do a celebratory dinner. So we've got 5 days of the retreat. You've got 6 nights of luxury accommodation. And then on top of that, you've also got access to guest expert speakers. So we've got Tara Shaw. She's coming and presenting on memberships. We have Celeste Gazone. She is going to be presenting on conversion rate optimization. So basically how to optimize your funnels, your website, so that you can actually increase your revenue without having to pour money into ad spend and lose out on profit. There's so many incredible things that are included. Like, I think for me, the price point, for some people, they might go, oh, it's really expensive. Others might go, that's more than fair. I think it's more than fair for the value people get. If you want to come with a friend, you can pay $3,997 each.
You don't have to share with a friend either. You can just come and share a room and who knows, you might get put in a room with someone that you like, become besties in the beauty industry and can bounce off from, you know, the retreat onwards and forwards.
I literally have a client who is a spray tanning salon. She did one of my trainings like a year and a half ago, and she's been fully booked for the last year and a half. She just said it's come off the busy season, so it's a bit quieter and picking up. And she's like, I'm coming from South Africa. I'm like, what? So she wants someone to share a room with. She's the most incredible woman. There are going to be some people who are like, I just want to share a room. So if that's you, DM me and I can hook you up. Speed friend dating, but yeah, it's going to be really incredible. Like, we've got early bird prices and then it will increase just because we've got to lock in venue numbers. We've got all those things. So those who take action sooner, you get to be a part of it. It's a $2,500 deposit. So that secures your spot and then you can pay the rest off as we discuss. But yeah, I'd really love to see you there. Ellie's going to see you there. It's going to be fun. And also, side note, the content is going to be incredible. Like, when you see this venue, if you look on my social media, you will see that this is going to be the best content opportunity for you, as much as it's a business retreat and a holiday.
Come and drink
want to come.
some cocktails.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. We will catch you in next week's, where we break down the client experience and then also some other beauty business strategies that are crushing it in the industry at the moment. Have an amazing week and go motivate yourself. Go get that bread.
Audience exclusive.